Good morning, freshman parents. My name is Lisa Dulberg, and I am the school counselor, 8th and 9th grade at North Tahoe. Thanks for coming in this morning. I apologize for the late notice of the parent night, but I'm happy to be sharing with you on YouTube right now. So I had the meeting this morning, and it was with a small group of parents, so I decided it would be better if I recorded it later. Any questions that you have, please send me an email. I'm going to share my presentation with you right now on the screen, so you'll hear my voice in the background, but you'll mostly just see the presentation. Okay, so my name again is Lisa Dulberg. This is my phone number and my email address. Any questions that you have, I'm happy to answer them over the phone or on email. So a little bit about myself. I am from Sonoma County in Sebastopol. This is my first year living in North Lake Tahoe. I lived in South Lake Tahoe for a year, loved it, and wanted to come back to the Tahoe area once I graduated, and thankfully there was a job. I got my Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology at Sonoma State, and I got my Master's of Arts in Counseling and a PPS credential from Sonoma State. Also, I transferred 4 times in my undergraduate degree. I started at Sonoma State. I didn't like it. I wanted to move back home. So I started going to the Santa Rosa Junior College to get my associate's degree to figure out what I wanted to do. After about 2.5 years at Santa Rosa Junior College and I moved to Tahoe, I applied to Chico State and I got in and I started going there. Didn't like it again. So I transferred back to Sonoma State, and that's where I finished my bachelor's degree. I took a year off and then started my master's program. My point is, plans change. Be ready to change with them. So as long as you're happy to change with your plans, you'll end up where you need to be. So what is a school counselor? A professional school counselor. They are certified licensed educators with a minimum of a master's degree in school counseling, making them uniquely qualified to address all students' academic, career, personal, social, developmental needs by designing, implementing, evaluating, and enhancing a comprehensive school counseling program that promotes and enhances student success. Basically, what that means is I went to school to help your student with anything that they might need in the school arena. So if they're struggling to succeed in their classes, I'm happy to help them. If they're struggling to make friends, I'm happy to help them. Anything that they may need, they can come in and talk with me about that. If your student went to North Tahoe School, Mr. Mora is also the school counselor over there. Anything he did over there, I'm happy to do over on this side. So to utilize my services, appointments help streamline the process. We make appointments from online. You can also call, and if there's an emergency, I'm happy to take walk-ins as well. I'll show you how to make an online appointment in just a second. You can also have updates via our social media. So we have a website. That's great. Mr. Ream does a great job maintaining that. And also we have a Facebook and a Twitter, and we just got an Instagram actually through the school. Mr. Ream's website, he updates regularly, so make sure to go there and check there for resources. We just added months at a glance so that you can go on, if you have a 9th grade student, you can go on there and check for the things that are happening for the 9th grade students. If you have any questions, please ask. I'm going to have questions too. Just started here, just moved here, so I'm happy to work with you. Okay, so if you go to the North Tahoe High School website and toggle over programs, school counseling will be there right at the bottom where it's circled. You'll click on that and it will bring you to this screen. So if you want to book an appointment, you can click on book an appointment right there in the front. Anywhere you go on the counseling website, at the bottom right, they'll be available for you to book an appointment. All of the tabs on the North Tahoe High School Counseling website are super helpful. If you have any questions, I will likely direct you to the website because of how much great information is on our website, thanks to Mr. Reed. So when you click on book an appointment, this is the screen that follows. You will be on the left-hand corner if you have a ninth grader, which you probably do if you're watching this video. And you can scroll through the options. If you just want a quick check-in with me, 15 minutes. If you're thinking it'll be more in depth, then 45 minutes, 60 minutes. I will have every student, hopefully, and their parent come in. You can start booking individual learning plan or ILP appointments with me starting in October. And you can have your student and you will come into the appointment and we will talk about what their 4-year plan is and we will make that plan. So where do they want to end up at the end of high school and how do we get there? So that's something that I would encourage you to do in the near future so we can get started on planning. It used to be 11th and 12th grade that the individual learning plans were done, but with the addition of me, we are starting in 9th grade. It'll be done again in 11th grade. And then I believe Mr. Ream will have an appointment with you in 12th grade to more of post-school planning. All right, some additional supports. We are lucky to have an amazing wellness center staffed by Hillary Stoner. I will show you a video of her very soon, and she is fantastic, and she'll explain the wellness center in just a moment. We also have a school psych, Liz Wilson. She's here 2.5 days a week, 3 days a week, depending on which week you are here. And this is a video right here with Hillary. Let's see if it'll play. Not sure if the sound will play. Well, it looks like we're having trouble with casting the sound, but we will have that posted online. And this is a video of Mr. Ream as well, and I think the same thing will happen, so we just won't worry about that. Okay, so parent norms. It will help, you will help your student if you encourage and support your student, but you still need to allow them to have their own responsibilities. Now that we're in high school, it's really important that the students are making their own decisions, creating their own responsibilities, starting to start the conversation with your students about future plans. That's what I'm talking about with the individual learning plan. We will talk about what that future plan is. And to help your student create healthy habits that support staying on track and forward motion. Freshman year is a really important time. Mr. Ream in his video talks about how it's an important time for them to create who they're going to be in high school. That's where it starts right now. So what are their habits right now and how can they improve them to make them the most successful student in high school? For students, they need to start planning for careers and their college choices. Might feel like a long ways out for them, but it's right around the corner. And to create an organization system that works for them. Lots of times teachers in middle school give you their organization system to give you skills to start creating your own organization system, and this is the time to create that. Also, I'll push this a lot in this presentation. Really important to create good relationships with all individuals on campus. Studies show that the more connectedness that students have on campus, the more likely they are to be successful. Like I said, I will push this very hard. Teachers are an important factor in your success. Talk with them. Teachers are much more likely to help you out if you ask for help. So we're trying to remember to teach our students how to self-advocate. I've always told my students that self-advocacy is a skill. Many of my students don't even know when I say the word self-advocacy what that means, and it's time for them to start learning that. Maybe there's a teacher on campus that they really feel like they can talk to, so they can go to that student, they can go to that teacher, and they can say, hey, I really need to talk with my math teacher. How do I do that? How do I start that conversation? Just like they're learning how to do different math skills, they're learning about history. They're also learning how to advocate for themselves. This year is an important year. It's a really easy year to put yourself into an academic hole for students, but it's a really important year to not do that. If, for example, English is required all 4 years, and if they fail one semester, that's something that they'll have to make up in the future. Seek help when you need it. It's so important for students to ask questions. And in our district, we have rule number 6, which is don't take yourself too seriously. I just had a conversation with one of my 8th graders yesterday. There was some music on and I was dancing to the music, and she told me I was awkward. And I said, that's my favorite part of myself. It's really important to start accepting that part of ourself. So this right here is high school graduation and college entrance requirements. They're compared by, in each column, the first column, blue column, is high school. Second column is 2-year school, so that's going to be a junior college like Sierra College. Third column is CSU, and fourth column is UC. I'll go into more depth of this on the next slide, but it's important to keep these in mind when choosing classes in future grades. We have set up all freshman students to be CSU UC on CSU UC track. We want all freshmen to start, most freshmen to start right there, ready to go. It's what they choose to do in the future that determines whether they stay eligible. So I'm going to go through the A through G requirements. A through G requirements is an agreement that the CSUs and UCs made. Basically, if you finish these requirements, you are eligible to get into the school. Doesn't necessarily mean that you will get in, but it puts you at an advantage to actually be considered. So you need 2 years of history, and all these courses need to be passed with a C or better. This year, the students don't have a history class. They start their sophomore year with U.S. history. We also offer AP Human Geography, Modern World History, AP U.S. History, Government, and AP Government. English is required in all 4 years to graduate and to get into CSU UC. So I'm going to focus on what gets students into CSU or UC. I understand that there are many paths for students. For example, mine was a little windy, and I didn't necessarily have to complete those requirements in high school to end up where I ended up. But it's the easiest to reach for the top goal and then work with what you need to work with later. So math, it's required 3 years, 4 years is recommended. Some freshmen start with Integrated Math 1, others start with Integrated Math 2. Then we go into pre-calc, stats, and then AP calc. Area D is a lab science. You need 2 years of a lab science, and it's recommended that you take 4. So all students are in biology right now. AP biology is offered in future grades. There are no AP courses offered to freshmen. We start freshmen in honors English, and then they can decide what they want to sign up for in future classes. We also offer chemistry, AP chemistry, physics, AP physics, AP environmental science. Wasn't offered this year. It wasn't a class this year. It was offered. So if we have enough students sign up for it next year, hopefully we'll be able to offer that. And we have anatomy and physiology. Area E is a language other than English. That's recommended that you take 3 years of that. It's 2 years required for CSU and UC. If your student has started in Spanish 3 SS, that means that they have reached that third year of language other than English. They have started at an advantage, so I suggest that they continue on the path with the language, because the more language experience they have, the better for their college application. Area F is a VPA, or a visual or performing art. That is required that they take 1 year. These classes here, art, ceramics, and photo, and any of the bands that are offered meet that requirement for visual or performing arts. There is a requirement for 1 year of college prep elective. Those courses are engineering 1 and 2, culinary 1 and 2, and any additional A through G course taken above the required required amount. So if a student takes AP psychology or another science, that will count in their area G. So this slide I actually gave to the freshmen last week in the freshman meeting. Their number one job is to focus on being successful in school. Grades matter, but learning the content matters more. The CSUs and UCs do not take the 9th grade grades into consideration for admissions. They some private schools may take the 9th grade grades into consideration, so it's something to think about. But the course content in freshman year will build on itself. And to learn the system, our school is a system. So find out what type of learner you are. In the presentation, when I got here, I asked the students if they were a visual learner, if they were an auditory learner, if they were a kinesthetic learner. And most students raised their hand for one of those three or two of those three. So I think they may already know what type of learner they are. So to use what type of learner they are to their advantage. If they're an auditory learner, getting audiobooks for their English class, it might be easier for them to take in information if they're hearing it. If they're a visual learner, creating diagrams and different tools so that they can see what they're learning. I know that Miss Young, who is the Integrated Math 1 teacher, and she teaches a section of, or 2 sections of Integrated Math 2, she is a visual learner as well. So a lot of what she teaches is done visually. Get organized. I know that I told the students that, I'm sure they've been told this a bunch of times since they've started school, but it is a very important thing to do. They can start their skills now, and that will benefit them in the future. And start the student-teacher relationship strong. Find that one adult that they feel like they can connect with. Job number 2 is to get involved. If they're not a part of sports, there's clubs and there's an amazing community that they can become a part of. So I think in their Pathways class, they're signing up for Naviance. Take a skill or interest inventory on Naviance. Learn what maybe they know what they're good at, but they don't know what that means for careers. And if they take that interest inventory, it'll give examples of what careers their skills might translate into. Take a rigorous schedule, but only one that be successful with. So when we're signing up for sophomore year, maybe they have all these AP options. If they struggled in their math class, maybe an AP math class isn't the best option, or science. So looking into what they can be successful with. Looking into volunteer jobs or community service jobs. And come and meet with me. I want to get to know you. I want to get to know this community. I've slowly started to get to know some students, but continuing on that path would be really important. And there's a study that shows that high school students across the US only study a total of 19 minutes a night. So we want to change that. Studying does not equal just homework. So many students just do what they need to do to finish just their homework. Other things can include preparing for quizzes and tests, group work, projects, reviewing chapters, reading, and even community service. So the last thing on community service, it's required for graduation. So all freshmen are required to do 6 hours of community service. They're required to do 30 hours total by graduation. You must meet the minimum yearly amounts to pass the Pathways course. They have a Pathways course every year, and to pass that, they have to do their community service. So for graduation, they absolutely must complete their community service hours. To get the community service hour sheet, we have some in the office, and we also, your student's Pathways teacher might also have that as well. So this is an example of a senior transcript. I'm gonna go into a bit of a more zoomed in version. I just wanted to show what it would look like senior year as they're finishing up. If you look over on the bottom right, that's the credit summary. First column is subject area. Second is how many are required. So when you get your student's transcript at the end of if your student gets their transcript at the end of their freshman year, that column will look the same every single year. The completed and needed will change every year. So if you see here, this student going into their senior year still needs 10 credits for English 12, 5 for econ, and 5 for gov. And 5 for health. And then if you look on the left side, that is the 6 GPAs. The academic GPA 10 through 12, that second one on the list, that is the GPA that the CSUs and UCs take into consideration for admissions. The total GPA is all your classes. Academic GPA is your academic classes. And then weighted is when you're taking AP courses into consideration. So I talked a little bit about Naviance. It's a fantastic resource that students are beginning to use in their Pathways class. It helps with college and career. It helps with college applications. So when they get to their senior year, if they've stayed up on Naviance, it helps a lot with their college application. Students have accounts, but also parents do, and it's accessible from home. There's also a program on there that's ACT test prep, which it's for free, and it's $300 per person normally. So here are some contact numbers for me. My extension is 31415. In an emergency, call 911. Here are some great numbers for you to have in case of an emergency. Hopefully it won't have to happen, but just in case. And that's it. So thank you so much for joining me today. Let's go back to, let's see. Go back to me. Hi again, and thank you for joining. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, to call me. Again, my extension is 31415, and my email address is ldulberg, DULBERG @ttusd.org. And I hope to meet all of you soon. Go onto our website, schedule your 45-minute ILP with me starting in October, and we will get moving on this road. Hope to see you soon. Thanks. Bye.